Everybody, I'm going to walk you through some axiUm today and show you how we are going to record the treatment for our first project and write a progress note on that very first day. So as you can see, I've logged in to axiUm. Y'all will be logging into axiUm Trainer, so it'll be maybe a little bit different and you won't see all of this. This is actually from when I was a student in my clinic hours, but it was just something available that didn't have any treatment on it, so here we are. So you're going to want to click on the axiUm icon. Y'all are going to click on axiUm Trainer. It's not letting me log in right now, so I'm just going to use axiUm. And then using your badge, and I'm using my badge, there's a little scanner on the side of your monitor somewhere around your desk, and you're just going to swipe in. And so it's going to pull you up to this Rolodex, which is really just this top little icon at the top. And what you're going to do is type in your last name. And so here you can see this is the one, the DS one is from when I was a student. So I'm going to click on it and I'm going to come to this little tooth with the blue swirl around it, orbiting the tooth. And it's going to open up the EHR chart that I'm going to enter some treatment in on. You can see here that they've entered in my clinic hours from when I was a student. So we're just going to ignore that for now. But we do want to take a little tour. Since this is not in the clinic, we may get a few little pop-ups every now and then. But most of the time, you just click out of the pop-up and you can keep doing what you want to do. So the first tab we have here is our In Progress tab. And this will show you if you have a patient with an appointment today, what you're doing, or what your pending treatments are that are incomplete or have only been planned. This is your treatment history tab. And it's a little hard to see because this is so big in the screen here. I don't know if I can maximize or minimize that, but over here to the right, you can see that within this treatment history tab, we have a whole bunch of views. And so we have a station view, a progress note view, dental treatment view, a bunch of other things. For the most part, we're going to spend all our time in this dental treatment tab and the progress note tab. So you can see it's on treatment right now. This is showing us all of the treatments. For me, it was just being in clinic. And if I had any progress notes for this particular patient, they would show up under this progress note little tab there. Moving on, here you can see any treatment plans. The Forms tab is really important. This is where you're going to enter in all of the information for your patient. Usually you'll do that at your OD appointment. There might be some basic information in there after screening, but you'll need to go through, and you can see there's a lot of red. So all of those things need to be filled out, and then a signature is required from your patient to say that, yes, all of that was correct. So that's an important step when you do your oral diagnosis or your OD appointment. And we'll practice that later on. I do have an exercise in the spring where you go through and I give you all this information and you have to enter it in. It's just good practice. It seems kind of tedious, but students told me that that would have been helpful, so I implemented it. So that's your medical history, your dental history. The current medications tab is what they are currently taking. So your patients need to bring a list, or some of them literally bring a gallon-sized Ziploc with all of their pill bottles in it. So you'll need to enter those. I think it's really helpful to look them up. And I used to keep a little card for each patient that just had the mechanism of action for each of the drugs that they were taking in case a professor asked me. So that was just a little cheat sheet and a way to help me remember, because some of these patients have a lot of stuff going on. This is your head and neck exam, the baseline oral conditions. This one has a little bit more to do with caries. It's like your ODRA is what we used to call it. And then here you have your diabetes risk test that I think there's some research that's tracking that information. So those are all of all of the medical history, everything you'll do at your first appointment with your patient. And once you have that, when your patient comes back in for treatment, which is how we're going to kind of pretend this is happening this summer, you're pretending they've got all this information. I'm going to kind of give it to you. And then when they come in for lab, for your appointment, you're just going to update their medical history and add vitals. So there really aren't going to be any changes when you do your progress note, and you don't have to list all of this information in their progress note. So just keep that in mind. The attachments and consents tab is really just for any files that you might get from an outside source. So let's say you do like a medical consult with their physician, and they fax back a form. Clinical affairs will put that in here. If they have to like get blood tests or something, that might be in here. This is really just kind of back and forth. Occasionally they might have an outside dentist and have x-rays and they sent them, and so you'll just find all of that kind of information here. The perio tab is for your perio charting. You'll be learning a lot about that this summer. The labs tab is different than like the other labs I talked about. So this is orders that you send out to the labs that our school works with to have a crown made or a bridge made or a denture or a partial. And so that will all be listed here, and you'll learn how to enter that stuff a little bit later on. The medications tab is different than the medical history where you listed all the medications that they're taking. This is where you might prescribe them fluoride toothpaste, or maybe they need prophylactic antibiotics for their appointments, or maybe they have an infection and you need to give them an antibiotic for that. So this is something that like you have, and the dentist that you're working with have prescribed medication for them to take, and it's going to show up here. And when you go through this process, you'll enter it all in, and it'll give you the opportunity to print and then have your faculty members sign the actual prescription that they're going to take to the pharmacy. Okay, so I'm going to back it up after we've had our little tour here and come to this treatment history tab, and I'm going to make sure that it's on dental treatment, because what we're going to do is we're just going to add the treatment for the first class. So all we're doing is that number 10, we're going to do a DL, but we're also going to do a little lingual pit. So we're going to have 2 treatments entered. So I clicked on that little add button, and so now it all changed. And I want to make sure, see this little tab here is marked on findings. I want to change it to dental treatments, because we're going to be entering some treatment. It's not something that's already in their mouth. You can do that with your patient when you do your oral diagnosis appointment. But for now, we're just going to enter in some treatment. So we're going to be doing an anterior composite, right? So if you click on this composites one, it gives you kind of an abbreviated list. You can see that these are all anterior, 1, 2, 3, and 4 surfaces. You can see these back here, the 1 surface, 2 surface, 3 surface, 4 or more, these are all for the posterior. So since we're going to be doing 2 separate restorations, we're actually going to pick an anterior 2 surface, and then we're going to have to come back and add a second one, and that will be an anterior 1 surface, okay? So the first one we're going to add is the 2 surface DL, and so I'm going to highlight that D2331, and then I need to tell it what tooth it's on and which surface it actually is. So I'm going to click, not the incisal, I'm going to click the distal and the lingual of number 10, and then I'm going to hit P for plan. Okay, and so you can see here it popped up a D2331 code. It's on tooth number 10. It's a DL, and it's planned. So that's good to go. So you can see that, like, as far as this little square goes, this little area up here is the facial, and this one back here is the lingual for the maxillary teeth. This would be the incisal, and this is going to be where you would do like a class 5. Okay, so now we need to add for our lingual pit, and that might look a little weird because we already have a lingual highlighted, and this little dot here just means that it's planned and you haven't done it yet. So it's an indicator for you when you just glance at the chart of what's been completed and what is left on your to-do list. But we need to do a lingual pit, even though that's a different surface than that lingual portion of a class 3. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to click on that lingual of number 10 again and hit planned. And see, it was okay with it. It's fine. And it's going to be a different surface than the DL, because this belongs to the class 3 and this is a class 1 on the same tooth. Okay, so that's what we're going to do for the first lab that we have. When it's time to complete these, when you're done, and write a progress note, all you're going to do is double click on it, and actually I'm going to come over to my treatment history because this does it better. If you come back to just the treatment history tab, you can see that my 2 treatments have been added and they are planned. And what it should do, and it's not doing on this, and I don't know if it's because I'm faculty now, because I graduated and I don't need permission to do things, but this will turn this little box blue and you have to get it swiped. So all the planned treatment has to be approved by your faculty and then swiped. We're not going to do that in lab, but I just wanted to point that out. There's a lot of approval that has to be done every step of the way as you do this. So once it's swiped and approved and planned, you can do it, and they'll work with you and give you permission to do different things throughout the procedure. But then when you're done, you're going to come and double click on it, and then you can see down here where it says status. Now, there's a lot of options. Let's say you got in there to do a DL, and man, that was really bad decay and it busted through to the facial. And so now you have to add a surface. Well, you can do that here. So you can see what's marked. And for this, it's just the lingual. So I don't want to change anything unless that got out of hand. So we're just going to come down here to status and change it to completed and click OK. And now that's going to change the status to completed. And then for the DL, same thing. You can double click on it. If it got really out of control and we had to add a surface, we could, because it would charge them more for that. And it would be a correct reflection of what was actually done. If that didn't happen, everything's the same, then all we're going to do is come and complete it and click OK, and now it's completed. Again, this should turn this little DSS box blue, which means it requires a swipe from your faculty. And this is how you get credit for what you do in the clinic, is getting it to the complete stage and getting that swipe so that nothing is left blue. So now that everything is completed, you want to write your progress note. So we're going to come over to progress notes here. You can see there's nothing here. So we're going to go ahead and add one. And if you look over on the right-hand side, it says add a new note with this little thing that looks like a Blue's Clues tablet. And we're going to click on that, and it'll just pop up this little general note. And I have templates for y'all. The students have passed them around for years, and I decided that it would be better to just go straight to the state board and take everything that they want and make a template. And so I'll provide those for y'all. I think they're better and more inclusive of everything that the state board wants to see on your notes. And so I think it's good to get in the habit of doing that. I think the templates the students were using were fine. They're just a little more confusing and easy to forget to change something, which is a problem. Like, it has to be accurate. If you forget to update something, it doesn't reflect what you did with your patient that day, and that could end up being a big problem. So you'll come in here and you'll just type your note. You can copy and paste the template and then add all of the things that need to be added. I don't have that available right now, so I'm just gonna type, I did some dentistry. It's a terrible note. Don't ever do that. And you need to include your name. We'll talk all about that with progress notes. And then you're just going to click Add New. And so that will add a note for the day for what you did. And so this is all you're going to do for each appointment, is you're just going to go through this process. We're not going to do vital signs and all that stuff yet. I just want you to get the hang of adding the treatment that you did. We'll talk about writing progress notes and I'll give you the template so that you can have a really nice progress note. And when it's time to do the template or the portfolio template, what you're going to do at the end is you'll have all the treatment up here that you did all summer long. So, I mean, for the most part, I don't plan on changing a whole lot of stuff. If something crazy happens and we have to cancel a lab, you could always come back and delete it. But if you want to look at what we're doing all summer and just practice and enter all of it in as a treatment plan, that's what we're doing. And so you are welcome to do that and just have it all ready to go. And then every day when you come in, all you have to do is complete it and write a progress note. And so that might help you kind of get ahead and not wait till the last minute to do the screenshot that I'm asking for all of the treatment. So one of the things that I'll need is instead of the progress note, I want to see the dental treatment tab where you have listed all of the things that you did. And then I want just all of the color from where you've marked all the surfaces for the treatments that we'll do this summer. And that's one screenshot. And then what I want for the progress note is every day, it's all kind of color coordinated. I want you to go back for that particular day. And it's going to get long, right? You're going to have these bigger notes and you won't be able to see all them. So just scroll down to the note for that day and take a screenshot of it just like this. And that's what I'm going to have you add to the progress note slide for the portfolio. And you'll do that for each different session that we meet. So in the end, make these as big, like full screen as you can. It doesn't help when they're like teeny tiny and I can't, sometimes it just depends on the computer you've got. But try to make them as big as you can. Please do not take photos of these. I can't read anything. It's all, the screen is all, it's got lines in it and I just can't see anything. So I really need you to take a screenshot. On these computers, if it's got the blue FN and the print screen button, you have to press both of those together. Nothing will happen. And then you can save that as a JPEG into Paint, or you can email it to yourself or whatever you want to do to have that file available so that you can put it into your portfolio. What I do need to see is I need to see a full screen and I need to see your name in the bottom left-hand corner, just so that I can see that you're the one that did it. You were logged in and you know how to do all this stuff. The first time I did this, I had some students just like copy and paste the text of their progress notes into the slide on the portfolio template. And while that is the best way to read it, and it's big and nice and I can see it, it doesn't show me that you did it in axiUm. I need to know that you know how to put progress note into axiUm. And so that's why I want a screenshot versus just copying and pasting text into that slide. So keep that in mind. If you have any questions, you can come back to this video. I have another video that kind of takes you on a tour. It enters different treatment, so I wanted to kind of update this one, but it's always good to kind of have those handy, and students have always told me that they're really helpful in kind of guiding them through the process. So let me know if you have any questions, and by the end of the summer, you'll be a pro.